My name's Jon Edgar. I'm a sculptor who uses improvisation in my practice. That means I don't necessarily want to know the outcome of the work at the beginning. I don't want to pre-plan. I want to let things influence me and enthuse me along the route.
Still very early days. Carved nicely, very buttery. Just subdividing all these forms up in quite a random way. Already there's a dog's head emerging up top. A cow with a bovine form over there. This figure with this sort of leg and a knee coming round into a sort of foot and a calf here, that's so powerfully mapped out that I'm just trying to sort of follow this forward, and obviously we've got no stone above, so I've got to sort of look at following this way. So this area here, I'm trying to look at this coming into sort of torso and chest, and then because there was no stone below, rather than sort of front legs, I'm looking at an arm coming out in this direction. The easy thing would be for me to work with the kids a little bit, but then take the stone off and put it into a barn and for it to come back here. But there was just something about the fact that there's so much happening here, and also if it is an unpreconceived piece, actually being here on site, there's so much more sort of possibility that can creep in. You'll suddenly get to a stage where you'll just be looking around a piece and there'll be it's almost no fat left on it to remove. And at that point you just sort of stop. I'm just starting to realise what forms are unnecessary, really, supporting, so hence I'm trying to clear some of this, and it's almost like a sort of pincer movement like on the Dad's Army film, where you sort of, the bits that you know are going to be part of the sculpture are sort of moving forward, pushing away things, so hence I'm trying to sort of pull away from under here to increase the strength of all of this coming down into the torso, into the chest, into the arm. But also there's this real feel that underneath here and down to here, it's becoming the bowl of the punch bowl, the geological bowl of the punch bowl. So I quite want to remove this material to get that sort of metaphor coming through, but also because the more material that goes from down below, the more the stronger and the more potential energy there'll be in the sculpture.
Or does it,
Well,
do you wait until...
Now, because it's quite... We worked this upside down for quite a long period.
Yeah.
And so now this has turned and things have started to come. Now I've got a bit more of an idea. I'm sort of trying to push it in that direction.
Right.
But it's still quite flexible. Certainly all these forms at the bottom, I'm not quite sure what are going to happen at the moment. Trying to work these away from the sort of spine so the spine gets a bit more prominent as well. Got to be really careful here. This is the most dangerous part of the carving. It's just when you've got one of these, bashing it against the breast of the carving while you're carving, you could sort of knock yourself out. Ooh, like that. Almost like a head with an eye and a nose, and this sort of hand coming round with a finger and a finger, and as I'm working away to here, there's almost like a forearm coming here. So I'm just going to work with that for a while. It may all disappear in the end. It might suddenly turn into something else. Interesting. Maybe that'll all go in another day. Just adding a bit of relief into this. Desperate man might clean the surface up. That feels slightly... It almost feels like it's pulling him into the rock face now. If I go too far with something, you get carried away in your own brilliance, and you come back the following day and it looks absolutely awful. And you just come out much more. It's almost coming around like a sort of spiralling into this eye now from the front. No!
What are you doing this for? Is it going to stay here?
Yeah, well it's going to go over there. There's this plinth that's just been constructed, so it'll be up a tiny bit higher.
You're just doing the final texturing, are you now?
No, I'm just, I mean there won't be any final bits, it'll just get to a stage where it suddenly finishes, but it's not so much putting texture on it, it's just making sure the forms work.
What stone is it then? It's very soft and chalky.
Portland. It'll harden up quite a lot, just as the air gets at it. No,
Is it going to be smooth when it's finished?
no, it'll be just like this. I mean, there won't be a great deal difference, I think. There's probably only 2 or 3 or 4 days of carving left now. It's starting to finish itself.
Oh, it's lovely. With West Virginia.
23rd of March is the opening.
Oh, right.
Passing.
That's
haven't got long.
Day.
Right.
Nice texture.
a lot more on that side, but what do you reckon on... It won't be quite as muddy as this in future. They're going to be putting scraping. Right, well the piece is up on to the new plinth, which is lovely and industrial looking in comparison to the piece. It's sort of modern and, well, it just does what it says on the tin, but the contrast between the plinth and this, they've got the same Portland cement, Portland stone, so there's elements that are the same in the colour range, and I think they'll blend quite nicely together, a good contrast. So I just want to go over this piece now. It's up onto here, and where all the strapping has been pulling onto the sculpture, just making sure that those areas are sort of cleaned up. There's a few bits around here. But it's odd, coming up and working yesterday on this, it was pouring with rain and I was up here for 3 hours or so, and it was really starting to sort of push me away. It was, I was getting disinterested with the process of looking for small areas to improve or to resolve, and it was just feeling like it wasn't mine anymore, which suggests that if I carry on with any little bits, it'll be tinkering, and in fact it'll just sort of be titivating. It won't result in anything sculptural happening. It's interesting it being a foot taller now though. It really changes your view. I mean, I haven't really had these views. It feels much more sort of massive, the fact of it being sort of perched up here. You can get a much better, you can almost get a landscape sort of view through these little the little porthole around the side.
Tell you what, I think it does demonstrate Hindhead.
Yes, interesting.
Doesn't it?
Are you around on Saturday?
I can be.
Well, I was saying, I mean, that's when all the launch with the other pieces is occurring. So it's 11 on Saturday.
Did you had the stone and then gradually you thought, well, that's just
yeah,
step by step, or
no,
you already had something before
no.
you started?
It's not a design at all. I mean, it's just something that evolves just as you sort of bond with the place, really.
Your inspiration.
Yeah,
at the time.
I think. And of course, there's the, all of the kids' inspirations early on.
Yeah.
Those first marks that when it was the other way up. All of those things. It's almost like the, butterfly's wings, butterfly flaps, and a hurricane happens elsewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, looking back at this now, when this was the other way up, the figure in here, I can think back to one of the main things that's made this happen was that there was a quarry marking, like a striation on the face that went down here, or when it was the other way up. But that's one of the things that's influenced it. And the other thing was the kids. This was one of the Celtic crosses running this way, with this being the base. And so when they sketched that in, which again would have been up here originally when it was the other way up, I think that's the other thing that's given the impetus into me, starting to see that leg early on.
You do have a lot of imagination.
Wow.
No, it's
Just got to keep going.
It's great.
Nice stuff you're doing.
We can now boast of the longest underground tunnel in England, I think, and the huge enhancement of already stunning countryside that we're privileged to have on our doorstep. It's actually clipping a ribbon of this quality.